Hey, Blue Demons, Courtney here from the Office of Student Involvement. Welcome to week 3 of our Back to Campus Vodcast. This vodcast was designed to ensure that you have the most up-to-date information regarding the return to campus this spring, if you're planning any on-campus events. Every week we go through different updates to the numbers and rules and regulations for on-campus gatherings, then also bring in guests to talk a little bit about what the return can look like. So as always, just wanted to start with some updates. So nothing's changed since last week. We're still currently in phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan. So what this means for student organizations is that you are currently required to have all on and off campus student organization gatherings registered and approved. So you can do that process by going to go.depaul.edu and then filling out an event through the event registration portal. All gatherings are still limited to 50% of room capacity and no more than 50 people. So just make sure that you're continuing to do that. As always, you still need to be social distancing in that space as well. Also, off-campus events, we still are not allowing overnight travel for any off-campus gatherings, and you're still limited to those, the 5 counties, including Cook County, immediately surrounding DePaul University. So if you have any questions about any of those rules and regulations, you can always go to go.depaul.edu/campuslife for up-to-date information on all of those regulations. Then also, just wanted to continue to provide the current student centers capacities. If you're looking to do events on campus, now's a great time to get different things scheduled. There's a lot of availability in our different facilities, so you can host gatherings up to these limits. As always, it's still that 50-person limit, so the 77 number is not, you can't have 77 people quite yet, but once that regulation lifts or becomes a little bit more lenient, that will be the capacity for that room. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guest for today's vodcast, Brian from Chartwell. So Brian, thank you so much for joining me today.
Sure, of course. Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah. So for students who might be watching, as you may know, Chartwell's is DePaul University's dining partner. So they provide food for everyday eating, in places like Create in Lincoln Park, at 312 Diner, at the DePaul Center downtown, all of those facilities. But they also offer catering services to all of our student organizations. So Brian, I'm curious if you can talk a little bit for our students about how catering has shifted for students for food at events during the pandemic.
Sure. There's definitely been a shift, as many of us have experienced, but we really are focusing on safety protocols that are in place for COVID. A lot of time now we're going to more individually packaged items. So we're unable to this time to offer an open buffet where people are going through and everybody going through the buffet would be touching, whether it be the food, whether it be the serving utensils. So we're really trying to limit that cross contact and trying to limit to where if you are selecting your food, you're only touching your prepackaged item, or it could be even a larger, say, prepackaged meal that's more of an individual box for that. So it's really about the individual packaging. There's also some changes we could do as far as the service. So we'd either have servers provided, or if somebody in the student group is able to kind of to lead that, where they're either plating or serving the food, placing it on the table for the guests to come up and receive. So we're limiting that to the one or maybe 2 people that would be distributing the food, so to speak. So we're really kind of focusing on that individual packaging at this time, especially in the spring, with all the protocols still in place. But we've been having events that started to pick up. People are returning to campus. We are having some socially distanced, safe events currently with more on the books. So, weekly we are having safe events.
Yeah, well, and Brian, I think one thing that's important for our students to know, when you say prepackaged, that it's still fresh, right? It's still, Chartwell's is preparing it in their back kitchens under the strictest safety protocols, and then it's packaged for people. So, I have been part of a couple of on-campus meetings or different gatherings, and it's still freshly prepared. Like we had like a chicken apple salad or sandwich the other day that was absolutely delicious with hot tomato soup. And then we had a chicken salad sandwich for something else with grapes in it. Clearly, I like chicken with fruit pairings, right? But
No, I do too. I do too, and that is a great point. And we do both. So we had, especially early on, even coming back in the fall, I do feel it was a little bit more. We call them convenient package. So when you think of like a Rice Krispie treat in a package or a bag of chips, that is definitely individually packaged. But you're 100% right. We're still freshly preparing ingredients and items, putting together a full lunch. Like you said, I remember both of the lunches, and we were able to do a great sandwich with a great side salad, a hot soup. So that's something else to kind of keep in mind, and we're working together. Like when you and I, we worked together through the whole process, and we had open communication with like, hey, Courtney, look, normally if you get soup, we would have it in a soup tureen, we call it, with a sterno to keep it hot, and everybody would kind of serve themselves. That's not an option right now. But we talked about your lunch is at noon. We're going to be there right at 11:55 and set up really close to that start time. So the items that need to remain hot to room temp are remaining so, right? So we're still trying to keep up the quality. And it's not normal, right? Normally we'd like to be set up, ready to go when the guests arrive. We're nowhere near, the food is ready to go. But in that instance, it works, right? Like everybody's, we're working together, and stuff isn't how it was. But if we work together and communicate that, we can still pull off, safe events. So.
Yeah, well, and I think that's one of the things that's really important for student organizations in particular to think about, because as we head towards the end of the year, I know one of the things that is at the forefront of a lot of our students' minds are senior celebrations or end of the year celebrations. And in lieu of, going to an offsite venue, I really think it's important for student organizations to consider, DePaul and our facilities and our catering staff in particular have all of the things for you to do to safely meet and safely gather. And, we heard from Jeff Quest in our week 1 episode, and now with dining, you could come into 120 and you could have a catered meal with nice, high quality food, and have that celebration at a place that really matters to students as well, being here at DePaul. And like Brian said, just give them a call. That they're happy to work through different dietary restrictions as well. I know I personally send, when we have participants for a meeting, I'll send Brian an email and I'll say, Brian, I need this many halal meals. I need this many vegetarian meals, whatever the dietary restrictions are. And Chartwells is able to specifically cater to all of those needs as well. So as student orgs are thinking about this, I think right now, DePaul's a really great place for you to host those celebration events.
Agreed. Great safety protocols in place, great communication from my side, the dining side of the food, working directly with DePaul. We have those relationships built. So we're talking behind the scenes, like I would talk directly to Jeff Quest or Kyle Janis or Courtney, or if there's specific questions with that. We're on campus, we're there, we're a partner with DePaul, like we're available. So if there's something that pops up last minute, or if there's a question with the food or something that needs to be done, we're right there. So we're able to help with any need that may arise. And we just know the campus, we know the spaces, right? So we kind of have the lay of the land, and are able to kind of adjust quickly if necessary. So, and absolutely, dietary restrictions, that's a daily thing in our world. We're constantly dealing with it, and it's become second nature. Like we are used to it. So we're working with the chef. I can even look at a menu, or if you have an idea of what you'd like, I'm already starting to think, well, if we have a vegan, we could do this to tie it in there. And if you have, like you had mentioned, halal, we can work that in the menu as well. So dietary restrictions are something that we are all the time working with, but even now working with them as well.
Oh, great. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. How can people get in touch with you if they are looking to cater an on-campus event?
Sure. Email always works best. Right there. And from there, generally the email will kind of, depending on what type of event it is, or how much of planning is necessary for it, it's more than likely we would set up a call. But an email is always a great start, because you can supply any of the details. We're having an event, the date, the location, the size, what it is we're looking to do. From there, I can kind of start on a proposal, something that might work. And then more than likely, like I said, we'd hop on a call, kind of finalize everything. And then leading up to the event, depending on how far out we are, that quick follow up again, right? So contact me today for an event in a month. We start working on the proposal, have that to you within a week or so, and we can hop on the call. And then days leading up to the event, we could have another check-in just to make sure there's been no last minute changes or anything else that may have popped up. And we go from there. So the email would be best, and then we could set up a call or a Zoom call or anything that we need to do to make sure to finalize it.
Perfect. Well, Brian, thanks again for joining us today. And I'm sure, I personally, my office, my orgs will be in touch soon for our upcoming events.
Oh, we already are.
Yeah.
We have one. We have a great one on Wednesday in the quad. So we're going to be outside, and it's going to be a great thing. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Brian.
You bet, Courtney.
All right, so we just have a couple other announcements to wrap up today's vodcast. So first, like Brian mentioned, we're continuing with our spring on-campus programs. So this Wednesday, we have got Food Around the World hosted by our DePaul Activities Board. That's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m. out on the Lincoln Park Campus Quad. So we hope you join us. Stay tuned to DAB's social media just in case they have to make any severe weather calls for that event as well. Then a couple other announcements in case you missed them. In today's newsline, today, Monday, April 12th, there was a recap of the virtual town hall return to campus. So there were a number of different university administrators on this for about 2 hours, and they were answering all sorts of student questions. I mean, I think there probably were 50, 60 questions maybe that we got through. So you can find that link to the virtual town hall in the April 12th newsline. Also in the April 12th newsline, they announced, or the university announced a graduation celebration. So we know that we're not going to have the full commencement activities taking place at Wintrust this year because of the pandemic. So DePaul has made some different plans to celebrate the class of 2021. So you can find the full listing or some details on that graduation celebration at commencement.depaul.edu, or again, head in and check the April 12th newsline. As always, though, if you have any questions about on-campus gatherings, about catering, about student centers, about anything, feel free to reach out to us in the Office of Student Involvement. You can also connect with us at the Return to Campus Life website, which is go.depaul.edu/campuslife. But until next time, we hope you all stay safe. Bye-bye, Blue Demons.